The Denny's on South Illinois Street wasn't welcoming to a group of 5 on-duty plainclothed detectives.
While they were eating, the manager walked up to them and advised that they either had to take their weapons outside and lock them up in their cars or they needed to leave.
Belleville Police Captain Don Sachs says the manager approached the detectives after a customer noticed one of the officers had a gun like this and complained. Captain Sachs says the officers identified themselves as detectives, but the manager still told them they or the weapons had to go.
That is the state of America now in the wake of the Sandy Hook shooting. Police officers being told you can't be in a restaurant if you've got your sidearm with you. The fact that politicians are out to get your guns and take them away doesn't mean that they're out to get your guns and take them away. Maybe you've heard that Obama said he wouldn't try and grab guns. Maybe you've heard, no, they just want gun control, not to take them away. I want to play a clip before we get to our next guest. I want to play a clip of California Senator Dianne Feinstein. She is the one that immediately after the Sandy Hook shooting put in a bill that, if passed, would reinstate the assault weapons ban of the 1990s, but it would get rid of the grandfather clause. Here's what she said in 1995 after the first assault weapons ban. Here it is.
If I could have gotten 51 votes in the Senate of the United States for an outright ban, picking up every one of them, Mr. and Mrs. America, turn them all in, I would have done it.
And I have no doubt that she would do it again today, despite the American Second Amendment. John Lott is no stranger to this program. He is the author of More Guns, Less Crime. University professor, author, well-researched individual. And John, I hate to bring you on the program again to restate what you've said probably thousands of times in thousands of media interviews, but is this the way to go to stop Sandy Hook?
Right. I mean, I wish these things were that simple. The first clip you had of the police officers being asked to leave, you know, the irony is a reason why a lot of places give police free food is because they like to have them there as a way of stopping crime. You know, it's kind of like you're renting the cops to be there to provide protection. And the notion that somehow citizens should be afraid of cops there just turns that reality completely on its head. But people have these images of just bad things happening when people have guns and not realizing the benefits. I mean, the police themselves, I'm sure, would have felt uncomfortable being around there without guns. Police officers, when they're off duty, regularly carry guns with them. And in fact, it's great. I mean, for free, they're providing services that protect people. If they see a crime occur when they're off duty and they're carrying a gun, they're providing free services for us, and people should be thankful that they do that.
In fact, before we get back to Senator Feinstein's gun ban, which is really where she'd like to go, there was a story that happened and I believe it was San Antonio, Texas, just a day or two after Sandy Hook, where there could have been another mass shooting, and it was stopped because of an off-duty police officer with a gun, correct?
That's exactly right. I mean, he stepped right up, stopped it before people were badly hurt. And it's just an example of an off-duty cop carrying his gun. And when he saw something go wrong, he stepped up and stopped it.
This was, for people that haven't heard the story, this was somebody, a shooter going into a restaurant. I believe he shot his ex-girlfriend. And then as people fled the restaurant into the theater next door, followed them into the theater. And this could have been another Aurora, Colorado shooting if it weren't for the off-duty cop taking out the bad guy. It kind of proves your point and disproves Senator Feinstein's.
Right. Well, you know, there was a battle in the U.S. Senate for 13 years. Feinstein was among these that were. There was a proposal to let police carry guns with them when they traveled across state lines, you know, going as tourists or whatever. Again, we have 600,000 police in this country that when they traveled then on vacation, whatever, could essentially be providing free police services. But there was a concern by Feinstein and the late Senator Kennedy that would endanger public safety to let those police officers carry their guns like that. And so I think it gives a real kind of insight into the mind there, that even somebody who's been a police officer for 10 years or 20 years or 30 years, who we trust every day on the job, that somehow when they're off duty, certain people just view them as a threat to public safety.
What's disappointed me about the discussion since Sandy Hook is that I knew the gun control discussion would happen, but I thought that somebody would be talking about mental health, which is obviously an issue. Maybe I'm missing it because I'm north of the border, but we consume a lot of your media up here, and I'm not seeing that. Is it there in your eyes, the discussion that needs to be held about mental health when it comes to shootings like Sandy Hook?
Right. Well, there's certain lines that I don't think people are willing to cross. One of them are issues about involuntary commitment for people. And there's been big changes over time in the United States. You go back to the early 1970s, and there were about 530,000 people that were involuntarily committed for different types of psychiatric disorders. Today, it's just over 40,000. So that's over a 90% drop, despite the increase in population that we've had. But there has been some discussions about mental health, but it's always in terms of just access to guns. So Maryland is going to be considering a law next week that would require teachers or psychiatrists or a group of other people, if they have information that believes somebody might be a threat to others, then they're supposed to go and inform law enforcement, and the guns would be taken away from that person. You know, if somebody's really a threat, even if they didn't own guns to begin with, you may want to go and try to deal with them in other ways if you really honestly believe that they're going to be a threat. And many of these people obtain guns illegally. You know, if you look at these mass shootings, they're often planned 4 months at least, sometimes a year or more in advance. And it's very difficult to stop people from going and getting guns in those situations.
Mr. Lott, thanks for joining us today and bringing some common sense into this issue. We'll talk to you again. All right.
you.
So I just want to point out, leave you with this bit of hypocrisy, everyone, and that is people that want gun bans who carry them. You might have heard Michael Moore's a bodyguard busted trying to board an airplane with a gun. He wants gun bans. And what about Senator Feinstein? Check out this other clip from her.
I know the sense of helplessness that people feel. I know the urge to arm yourself because that's what I did. I was trained in firearms. I'd walk to the hospital when my husband was sick. I carried a concealed weapon. I made the determination that if somebody was going to try to take me out, I was going to take them with me.